Oh, welcome welcome all to the SnailTrail4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how fantastic axles are under Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler. Joining me for another episode of the SnailTrail4x4 off-road podcast is the one and only Mr. Off-Road himself, Jimmy Off-Road Jet.
What's up, everybody? How's it going out there?
They said great.
Good.
That's
I'm glad
good.
Yeah.
Oh man. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. I'm doing okay.
Good.
Yeah. Life's moving forward.
Yes, it is. Indeed.
Yep. Exciting stuff happening around the jet hangar.
Is that what they're calling it nowadays?
I don't know. That's just what I called it.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's what I should name the shop.
The jet hangar.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. You could put up a whole sign and do a laser engraved, do an anodized panel and laser engraved jet hangar out.
Yeah.
And put it
I guess snail shop would be better though.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Depends.
But if I have a place called the jet hangar and then I open up like the side door and have flames shooting out of it, it'd make more sense.
It would make a lot more sense. And I think you might gather some interested neighbors. So
maybe so.
Yeah.
It could be fun though. You never know.
Big flames are always a lot of fun. So
don't disagree.
Yeah. Oh man. This is a Monday episode.
Yes, it
on
is.
the 4x4 Snail Trail podcast here. So we have some fun topics for you guys inspired by, was it Tom? Not Ken. Ken was from Wyoming. So I think it was Tom. Tom from Clink and Beard. So
yes.
We're going to get into it in a little bit here. But first, we do have a couple of words from our sponsors. Not really. I've just always wanted to say that. Never really have said it. I don't know why.
Yeah, we have sponsors. We have some
sponsors.
We have words from them.
Yeah, but people have already heard them, though, right? Getting into the beginning of the show. If they've made it this far, they've already heard from our sponsors.
Yeah, true. But we do have the mid-roll.
That's true. That's right. Monday episode. So you get to hear from Brian again.
Yep.
No, we do some really cool stuff with 4-Wheel Underground and Onyx Off-Road currently, and they do some amazing things with off-road suspensions for Toyotas, as well as mapping software for every single off-roader out there to help make sure that you stay on the trails. You're not creating illegal bypasses. You're not putting us in bad light with the governing agencies in those areas. It's a really cool... Everything that both those companies do, we absolutely love, and we are big supporters, and we've supported them before they became sponsors. So it just kind of worked out really naturally. But go check out stuff that they're doing if you're looking for off-road suspensions, if you're looking for mapping software to go off-roading and playing around in the outdoors with, check them out. They're awesome companies. They do some really cool stuff in the off-road industry. And that's really important for us here on the show to make sure that we're supporting companies that are doing things that we think are really cool in the off-road industry and do some really cool stuff for you guys out there too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Not half-heartedly?
No, not half-heartedly.
All whole of your heart.
Wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Another company that we enjoy supporting is Factor 55.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
And they are this month's giveaway company.
Yep.
And they're giving away some really cool products. What were they?
They're the Ultra Hook.
The Ultra Hook, which isn't a new product.
It's not a new product by any means.
But it's a great product.
It is an awesome product. But one of the other things that coming with it goes with an Ultra Hook.
Right.
And that is a new product called the Hammer Loop. And it kind of adds a semi-permanent soft shackle, essentially, a rigging point to your Ultra Hook, which is kind of neat. So there's the Hammer Loop as well coming out that they are launching. So we get to talk about that all month here and what are the benefits there. We'll get into that a little bit with Justin at the end of the month, as well as we have a hammer strap for everybody.
Hammer strap,
which is an extreme duty winching strap. It's an anchor strap that you can put around pretty much anything. Use it for trees to help not kill trees when you're winching yourself out of places. So always use a tree strap. But what's really cool about this is there's tree straps out there. They work great. But a lot of times tree straps, if you put them around rocks, they don't do so well and they don't last very long.
True that. Yeah.
Because rocks are a lot more friction surfaced and a lot more jagged, and they can cut soft webbing, nylon webbings that a lot of these tree straps come in. So this is actually an extreme duty tree strap, for lack of better term, that's designed to be used around rocks. So it'll withstand that extreme terrain of winching off of rocks. So really cool. As far as I know, I don't think anybody in the off-road industry has come up with something specifically designed to withstand winching conditions around jagged rocks before.
No, besides the sleeves maybe on winch lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. So pretty cool stuff coming out from Factor 55. We've talked about it in the past. They're always pushing the boundaries and kind of setting that bar really high for the off-road rigging space. It's pretty cool to see the stuff that they come out with and what comes in their minds from the guys over there at Factor 55. So
absolutely.
We'll have that giveaway package for one lucky winner. If you want to get in for that, make sure you get signed up over at Irate 4x4 under the Snail Trail 4x4 forum. Make sure you get signed up for the giveaway tier. And then we'll have Justin on at the end of the month here to talk about all the really cool stuff that they are launching. They have a handful of new products that they're launching kind of this month and launching a bunch of content on. And so we'll get a lot of stories about all that, as well as some really cool myth busting stats that they've been working on.
I'm excited to hear that for sure. If you want to support the podcast in a free way, then you can sign up on any of your local podcasting apps and share the podcast. Share it with a friend. Tell a friend about it. If they enjoy listening to podcasts, tell them about Snail Trail 4x4. That is the easiest and best way to help us and help you have continuous podcasts coming out. Let's see. If you want to leave us a review, that's another good way to...
Another great way to help out the podcast. And it's free to do.
Yep. And it's free to do, like Tyler said. But that one, you actually might win something for.
Because we like bribing people. That's what we do.
Yeah. Is it bribery? Or is it just like, hey, we've got some stuff to give away, and if you leave a review, then we'll give you something.
We're not giving people something. That's...
One person we are.
Yeah, one person gets a chance. Well, everybody gets a chance at winning something. Yeah.
I don't know if it's bribery.
All right. Yeah.
A lucky winner might win a set of tires from Yokohama Tire.
I'm going to go with bribery just because I don't mind. I don't mind bribing people for reviews.
I don't know if it's bribery.
I got to look up the definition of bribery, right?
Bribery is if you leave us a 5-star review, we'll send you a sticker.
Okay. So it's a specific call to action over a very specific thing you want done?
Yeah, I don't know. But we're just like, hey, if you want to leave a review, then you have a chance to win something.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I'll give it to you this time, Jimmy.
I'm not going with bribery.
Okay.
We're giving you a chance to win.
All right. Got it.
If you leave a review.
Okay.
If you leave a 5-star review, email Jason at Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, and he'll send you a sticker.
There we go. Perfect. That's funny. Are we bribing Jason to send out stickers for us now?
I'll send Jason some stickers. And then he can, every 5-star review that comes in, he'll then send out if they come in from a Snail Trail 4x4 member, Jason sends out a Snail Trail sticker and a Wheeling Wine and Whiskey sticker.
Perfect. Okay.
If he gets his 5-star stickers from Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, he doesn't need to send a Snail Trail sticker.
It would be pretty funny if people started going and reviewing Snail Trail 4x4 on the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey reviews.
Yes.
It won't help us out at all, but it'll be hilarious to have them read the reviews.
I have a funny review I want to try to leave on their podcast, but I'm just trying. I think I just need to create a fake email.
Okay.
And so I can go leave a funny review.
I hear Lorenzo has a couple of accounts left over from his kidnapping.
Oh, that might work.
They were so pissed at that.
Oh my gosh. That was the best.
We had fun with it.
The best thing I ever heard about from that entire fiasco was Ultra Ford Jones going, damn it. Why didn't I think of that first? I was like, yes, winning.
That's great. Anyways, yeah, you guys leave some reviews. It seriously is one of the best ways, other than sharing it with your friends, sharing the podcast with your friends, in helping the podcast continue to grow, which allows us to do really cool stuff like give away a set of tires, which is what the next really big giveaway is once we hit 750 reviews over on Apple Podcasts. So thank you. Huge shout out to Yokohama Tires for, giving that prize up for a lucky winner. So yeah, cool stuff.
And for the tires on my truck.
And the tires on Kermit. And the extra tires in the warehouse.
And the tires on some employees' vehicles.
Yeah, exactly.
Those weren't all given though.
No, they were all purchased. Yep. So, all right, cool. That's those things there.
Yeah.
Any other stuff to hit?
Let's jump on into the main topic.
One of my favorite topics other than radios.
Is radio even a topic?
It totally is a topic. Although, yeah, so I still have my off-road radio up and running. So like for like radio programming and editing, modding people's radios for them. I had a guy get in touch with me saying he wants every single repeater in the United States programmed into his radio. And I was like, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And he goes, why not? And I was like, there's not enough space in your radio. He goes, my radio can handle it. And I was like, I don't think so. Yeah. I was like, California alone has over 2,000 repeaters. Most radios have blocks of 1,000 memories. Like if it's a high end radio, you got about 1,000 memory blocks to put in there. California alone would exceed that. He goes, no, I've got this radio. And I looked at it and it had like 5,000 blocks of memory, something in it, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I was like, it got me thinking, how many repeaters are there actually in the United States?
Okay.
So I did a quick estimated count. 22,000 repeaters in the United States for ham radio repeaters.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of...
Does California have the most?
Yep. California's most at 2,600. Next is Texas at about 2,000.
Wow.
And then Florida and New York are surprisingly up there as well.
Wow.
Floridians just have nothing better to do. That's their excuse. But
they want to talk to Cuba.
That's true. Oh man. So anyways, it started getting me thinking. I was like, hold on, why do you want every single repeater in the United States? Like,
yeah, you're a truck driver.
What do you do? And he goes, no, I travel a lot. And if shit hits the fan, I want to be able to get in contact with somebody no matter where I'm at. And I'm like, you need to get a Starlink then.
Yeah.
I was like, really, honestly, like your best bang for your buck, if that's what you want, you need to be looking into Starlink or satellite comms.
Okay.
And he goes, no, I don't want to spend that much money. Give me a code plug, a programming sheet with all the repeaters in the United States. And I said, okay, I give them in blocks of 100 and it's $35 per 100 channels. So I did the math on it. It was $7,700 if he wanted all 22,000 repeaters. And I sent that to him and he hasn't talked back to me since then.
Wow.
I was like, and I just looked on Home Depot. Home Depot has the Gen 3 Starlinks for $250 fucking dollars for the hardware.
Wow.
And then you just set up your monthly subscription with Starlink.
Yeah. Which is like $100
to $150 depending which subscription you're getting. So I'm like, shit, I might just be selling my Gen 2 with the flat mount and everything and buying a Gen 3 here shortly. But I sent that to the guy and I was like, so yeah, $7,700 to me to get every single repeater in the United States, or you can get a Starlink for up and running for about $400 to $500. And you're going to be and so I was like telling him, I was like, man, are we getting to the point where just ham radio is not even worth getting anymore? Just get a freaking Starlink.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cheaper than a Garmin InReach.
Yeah. You have a Starlink on your vehicle and then you can text anybody anywhere. Mm-hmm. And if they're also on the Rubicon, they need to have a Starlink though too.
Yeah.
Or on yours at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. It goes from yours up to space down to yours and out to them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm just kind of like, man, topic about radios. I still think there's a place with radios and off-roading for people having quick communications to themselves, but in terms of emergency communications,
maybe
I don't know if ham radio is worth it anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is that like you might not be able to charge your cell phone, but at that same point, you're not going to be able to charge your radio.
Yeah.
Right. Like let's say the power grid goes down.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't charge your handheld or your mobile, is not on the wall or whatever. Maybe you could run your car for a while, but maybe you'll have a hard time getting gas. But at that same rate, you're going to have a hard time getting your cell phone running.
Yep.
But the satellites are always going to be running.
Satellites are still running. So as long as the
sun is there,
the source that you are trying to communicate to, the person you're trying to contact, also has power, you're pretty good. And as long as you have a renewable energy source yourself, so lithium cube from Wagon Tech or something and a couple solar panels, you've got power to run a Starlink.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm starting to, after playing around with Starlink that I have had for the past, year and a half. In terms of emergency communications, I wouldn't even say go with a Garmin, just get a Starlink. They're coming down in prices right now. They're cheaper than Garmin inReaches, and you can do anything because you have the whole internet at your fingertips now.
I got two questions. How much do you pay monthly for a Garmin inReach?
I want to say it's like 15 to 20. They have different forms of subscriptions, right?
Isn't it up to like $50?
I want to say it's up to $50. Yeah.
So, and then how much is the unit?
It's like $500, $600.
So it's like $500, but then you're paying $50 a month.
For the top end, I think it's 50. I don't even want to talk. I'd say $50.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're spending more up front for the Garmin, but then it costs less to use monthly.
Yeah.
Where the Starlink costs $300 but then it costs $100 to $150 monthly to run it.
Yeah.
Granted, your features that you get out of the Starlink are way beyond what you can get out of the Garmin.
Yeah.
But there is a balance there. You'll be spending less overall.
Yep.
By getting a Garmin.
The big reason why I've found that I like the Starlink for emergency comms out on the trail is not only do you have emergency communications in whatever form of communications you want, but you also have access to repair manuals, repair videos, anything like that you may need to troubleshoot out on a trail, like misfire codes on your computer, your ECU, other stuff that maybe you don't know a whole lot about. You can pull out the I almost said the Garmin. You can pull out the Starlink and pull up a YouTube video about exactly how to troubleshoot, diagnose, and repair that problem while you're on a trail as well. You can pull up factory service manuals, all sorts of different things. So there's another level there of just emergency communications.
Yeah.
That helps for self-reliability out on the trail too.
Not to mention you can just post up selfie videos all day long.
That's true. Yeah. Right.
My second question is what's the difference between the Gen 2 and Gen 3?
Speed.
Yeah.
Massive speed. And to do a 12 volt conversion is way easier to do on the Gen 3.
Interesting.
So you don't have to cut the unit apart and do all this. It's an external thing that's used to do a 12 volt conversion on the Gen 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a lot easier, way cheaper. It's only like $40.
Wow.
To do a 12 volt conversion rather than $1,000 to do a 12 volt with like unique componentry.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Maybe I might have to go up in Gen 3 for the house.
Gen 3. So Ozzy has a Gen 3. I have a Gen 2. And he's getting double to triple the speeds out of his Gen 3 that I'm getting out of the Gen 2.
Dang.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yep.
And I don't my download speeds are fine at the house. Like we're not having problems with watching anything, streaming stuff, whatever. It's not an issue. The upload speeds are where I need the help.
Yeah.
Primarily uploading YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Like if I upload the YouTube video, the podcast YouTube video, it's an hour-long video.
Yeah.
Going that I'm having to upload, it's multiple gigs.
Yeah.
Being uploaded. Sometimes it takes a few hours, 2 to 5 hours to upload these things. So I'm uploading them at night, but sometimes I'm trying to get them like 2 of them done in a day. And it's like, I'm just sitting there waiting for one to upload so I can start uploading the second one. So that if it's 3 times the download speed, it might be worth it.
I don't know if the upload speed is different on the Gen 3. That's a good question. I seem to remember him saying the upload speed was very similar.
Oh. Just download.
But now that you were talking about that, I did see an email this morning as I was cruising through my emails that Starlink just increased the upload speed bandwidth for everybody.
Oh, well, that'll be
so
nice.
that might double check that and see if you're getting faster upload speeds now.
I will have to. Yeah, that'd be beneficial.
Yep.
And I would probably, if I went up to the Gen 3, I'd keep my Gen 2 and make it, well, actually, I should probably do it the other way, huh? If it's so much easier to 12 volt the Gen 3. So many options.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
The other thing to think about is that if you just don't like Elon Musk, I know a lot of people just out there hate anything to do with Elon Musk.
Sure.
Amazon and Jeff Bezos is launching a shit ton of internet satellites as well.
Oh,
and
geez.
Amazon is going to be launching their own quote unquote Starlink. I forget what it's called. But they're in the works of launching their own right now as well. So if you like Jeff Bezos versus Elon Musk, that'll be an option now.
It's the battle of the riches.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get off of internet radio talk and let's actually move over to our main discussion today.
Yes, one of my favorite topics. We're back to this favorite topics other than radios. Jimmy, did you know this about? Here we go. Axle Talk podcast today. After a quick word from Brian, so grab your favorite drinks, grab your favorite snacks. We'll be right on back and say hi to Brian for us while we're there.
The 4-Wheel Underground website just got an upgrade. Come on by and check out the new functionality, new photos, and new pricing. Finally works on mobile too. Visit 4wheelunderground.com and find your new suspension today.
Oh, welcome back, ladies and gentleladies. We're here with today's campfire discussion.
Brought to you by Tom.
Brought to you by Tom from Clink and Beard Strong. Where did he get that name from?
He has a beard.
His beard clinks when
I don't know.
Walks around, or
when it's strong, it does.
When it's fair. He hides beers in there and they clink around. I don't know.
It's an interesting name. Tom, you have to call into the podcast and let us know why, how you got that name.
Yeah, I'm curious. All right. So Tom essentially called in and was talking about axles and talked about the merits of Dana 44s versus Dana 60s, half ton versus 3/4 ton, because there's technically no such thing as full ton, right? Remember?
Sure there is.
Talked about this. Isn't that one thing that Ian always says from Wheeling Wine and Whiskey? Or Wheel Every Weekend?
I don't know if it was Wheel Every Weekend or if it was the Mike and Max Off-Road podcast that was talking about that.
Yeah.
But
it might have been Mike from Mike and Mike.
Most full-size vehicles are 3/4 ton axle ratings or something like that.
Yeah.
But what about F450s and F550s?
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Those are 1 ton axles.
Those are big boy axles.
If not larger.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't say there's no such thing as a 1 ton axle set.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would say most of them are probably 3/4 ton esque vehicles. Cause I mean, the axles are the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how the spring rates are, right? I mean, I
think that the gross vehicle weight ratings of the axles, the GVWRs of each axle.
Yeah.
So like Toyota mini truck axles, stock from the factory are only rated for 800 pounds.
Really?
800 pounds at each corner, I think. Something like that.
Okay.
Whereas FJ80 axles, they're rated for 1,200 pounds each corner, something like that. So I think that's where the half ton versus 1 ton ratings come from on axles, the GVWR ratings on them.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it's the same axle.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton vehicle, an F250 or 350 or 1500 or 2500 or 3500.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same exact axle.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really different. Maybe ring and pinion size. I mean, ratios,
Mm-hmm.
not diameter.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a different gear set.
Yeah.
The same diameter gearing.
Yeah.
Like it's still, they're all the same axles. It's just spring rate that makes you go from a 3/4 ton to a 1 ton.
Yeah. So anyways, we're here to talk today about kind of the merits of smaller axles versus bigger axles. Do you really need to go 1 tons? Is it really worthwhile to go up to Dana 60s? I know that there's so much of the industry, and even I've been catching myself saying, yeah, just everyone should be in Super Duty axles.
Yeah.
But
Tons and 40s.
Is that really true? Like, is that really necessary? Is there a place for Toyota axles and Dana 44s and Samurai axles? And I don't know. That's what we're here to talk about today. We're going to dive into it.
I believe there is.
I don't think there is. Everyone needs Super Tundra axles.
Yeah, that could be true also. All the trails need to be widened so Tyler can go down that.
Exactly. Yeah. I can still get through Barrett. All right.
Yeah.
I can make it. I made it to the lake.
You can make it. You have to go a certain way through the gate. So you can continue on with the trail.
Yeah.
I can go almost an infinite way through that gate.
That is true. You can. I don't think there's any point on the trail though where I'm rubbing on either side
at the same time.
At the same time, yeah,
probably not.
Or on both sides at the same time, I should say.
So what about front and driver?
Front driver.
No, front and driver.
Front and driver.
Those two sides. The front side and driver side.
Not
opposite sides. Like, are you ever rubbing in the front and on your driver's side?
On Barrett? I don't think so.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so.
All right. I was just seeing if you rub on two sides.
Okay, got it. Okay. Anyways,
underside and driver's side.
Underside and driver's side. I think there's one spot. If I tried, I could do that. Yeah.
Near the lake.
Yeah.
I bet. Or one of the rocks in the S turn.
I think, the S turn is definitely one spot I've done it at.
Yeah. So there are spots that you rub on two sides.
I guess so. Blah, blah, blah.
Tyler's a liar.
Semantics. Anyways, axle talk. Here we go, man.
All right. I'm ready.
So yeah,
got some numbers.
What started out here was Tom was saying that he has a Chevy S10.
Yep.
That he runs Dana 44 and Ford 9-inch under. So Dana 44 in the front, 9-inch in the rear. And he's never broken a shaft, never had issues with the 44. He said they actually twisted a truss off of the 44 before he's broken other stuff on it.
That sounds like bad welds.
Right. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. But he also said that he does swap out U-joints religiously.
Correct.
So there is that to keep in mind. But it kind of begs the question, right? Because I went through this big, internal struggle when I was planning out my axles.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do an 8-inch high pinion in the front.
Okay.
But I still wanted to use a Tundra differential in the rear or something in the rear. I'd wanted to use a Tundra 10.5 in the rear, but I was like, it's so much bigger than the 8-inch.
I was just picturing the photo that you put on Facebook or Instagram of the 8-inch and the Tundra sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you wanted to run a Tundra in the rear and an 8-inch up front.
Yeah. Which is stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Yes, it's stupid ridiculous. And so I was going to be settling on the 9.5-inch Land Cruiser in the rear.
Yes.
Just because it was a little bit closer in size.
Sure.
So,
and it's like almost every FJ 80 out there. That's they're a high pinion 8-inch in the front and a 9.5 in the rear.
Yeah. So, but it got to me thinking because I actually got in an argument with somebody about it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Yes,
I did. About the merit of doing that versus just going with Super Duty axles. And they were like, why don't you just go Super? You're going to spend so much more money building these custom axles. Just do Super Duties. And I was like, yeah, but there's an argument to be made about having smaller axles. If your vehicle and your wheeling style can put up with it, what if you want to have a lighter weight vehicle overall, your overall weight, and you want better ground clearance.
Yep.
There's a big, huge argument that can be made about running smaller axles for ground clearance rather than a Sterling 10.5 or a 14 bolt that's going to catch on everything. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But then you also have strength values that are different between those two. So like, where is the point that you draw the line between being okay with running small axles versus going big?
Yeah. And don't forget about center of gravity.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Because if you have small light axles, your center of gravity is going to be higher.
100%. Yeah.
If you have like a full width axle, those things are heavy.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, only Moose from Montana can move them by himself.
And Jeff Bakken, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's, the center of gravity factor lowers. And then so you can do off camber things just a little bit easier. So yeah, there's definitely pros and cons about both. I think a lot of it kind of comes down to driving style, who you are, and where and what you wheel.
Yeah, very true. Tom did mention that he hasn't gotten into extreme rock crawling yet.
Yep.
So I'm curious, are we like, what is, I
want to know what extreme rock crawling is.
Right. How is he defining
Ford Ice and Rubicon extreme?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, I'll argue that he still can wheel that on his 44s because I'm wheeling it on mini truck axles.
So how much does a S10 weigh?
I don't know. It's probably those sized ones are probably equivalent to first gen Tacomas or mini trucks.
I would put first gen Tacomas weighing quite a bit more than mini trucks. I think the first gen Tacomas have a lot more stuff going on at the interior. I mean, just going from I had my 85 4Runner to a 94 4Runner. There's so much more going on with noise dampening in the cab, insulation in the cab. Things are a lot more solid. There's just more going on. I was very impressed with actually how much more weight that 94 4Runner has curb weight than the 85 4Runner does.
Okay.
And so I would put mini trucks more in line with the 85 4Runner.
Sure.
Than the 94 4Runner kind of thing in terms of weight.
Well, but I mean, on the flip side, Bobcat is a 91 Toyota pickup, which is the same generation as the 94 4Runner.
I don't think they did a lot of the same interior stuff that they did with the 94 4Runners, though. In
Probably
the
not.
Pickups.
Probably. And you don't have the back half of the shell. But I mean, in regards to Toyota's legacy of having the 4Runner be more of a luxury vehicle and the truck be a work truck.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But where does the S10 fall?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
I would say somewhere between first gen Tacoma and mini truck.
You think they're between that? Okay. So if that's the case, then
but didn't he have a GFC on it?
I don't remember. I do have to pull up the Instagram account and look. But I mean, it begs the question, right? Like, I know you've had Bobcat now for 20 years, 20 some odd years.
Around 20 years.
With Toyota axles under him.
Well, I haven't had it for 20 years with Toyota axles under it, but yes, I've had Bobcat for 20 years, probably Toyota axles for 15.
Okay. That's still a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And you've wheeled Ford Ice multiple times, Rubicon multiple times, on 37s.
Yeah. For a long time.
A long time. You know, and you've never really had major issues other than that one run we had on Ford Ice.
Yeah.
Where you blew up the rear end. But I think that was 15 years of wheeling abuse on that ring and pinion before it finally let go.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was anything you did on that trip per se.
It just was fatigued and tired. It might have even been cracked at one point, and I just happened to be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
I have twisted axle shaft splines.
That's true.
But
all that raw power.
All that power. All that torque is what it is. Yeah. But I've never broken an axle shaft.
Mm-hmm.
I've never broken a Burfield.
Yeah. True.
I've broken and it was the ring and pinion in the rear that broke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
what do you think equates to the success of the Toyota axles then under Bobcat and lasting so long and being able to do these pretty hardcore trails.
Yeah.
And not really have any issues with them.
That's an easy answer.
I don't want to hear its driver.
Damn it. It's the driver. Well, I'm going to go, well, it's a light vehicle.
Yeah.
Light up top. And I'm going to say there's 15 years or 20 years of sitting in that seat and understanding that vehicle and knowing when I can put the throttle down a little bit more or not.
Yeah.
Or just, when do I need to feather it just to make it up at the right amount of power?
Yeah.
That has something to do with it.
I think that has a lot to do with it. I was being facetious, but I do think that driver attitude of the vehicle has a lot to do, and driving style has a lot to do with preservation of the vehicle and how well axles do under vehicles.
And I mean, like Tom said, where, I'm wheeling a Dana 44 and you have to remember you're wheeling a Dana 44. I'm wheeling mini truck axles and I know I'm wheeling mini truck axles. So if I'm putting myself in a binding situation, I'm going, no, like this isn't going to work. I'm either going to break something or I'm just not going to make it up.
Yeah.
And I've got to find a better route or another route to do that. That's
an interesting point. I've never thought of, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but when you do get into a position, like say rock chucker in Moab, climbing and putting your front driver tire on that undercut rock and trying to get it to climb the undercut rock and get on top of it. At any point of doing that, what's going through your head of, I need to be careful because I'm on Toyota axles, or are you just saying I need to be careful because I can feel I'm binding everything up?
Yeah, I'm more of binding.
Just in general, you're not thinking I'm binding and binding is bad because I'm on Toyota axles.
Well, I mean, maybe that has the hierarchy of,
Okay.
It's like maybe the binding is like I'm damaging my truck, right? And I have to be concerned about that because I'm on Toyota axles. But I think a lot of it comes down to like, you kind of just understand and know how the vehicle's working. And if you put yourself in a situation where you feel the vehicle not either progressing or there's a lot of engine noise, but no movement, that you just, the thought process is one of two, maybe three ways, but primarily it's, I need to give it more throttle so I can get going, or this isn't going to work. I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the people with 42s and full widths go, I'm going to give it more power. I'm going to try to get this. Or where me and Bobcat and the mini truck are, well, this isn't working. I'm going to back up and try an inch to the left and see if that works.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times, and I think Bobcat has proven it, you don't need to use all the woo-pows to get through something. If you have a good crawl ratio and a good line, you'll make it.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot to be said about that. And I definitely do not think that I'm a great off-road driver. I don't think I'm a great rock crawler.
I don't either. You hit everything.
I know I do. That's why I had to build bigger axles. That's why I had to have a better articulating suspension that handles better, because I don't think I'm good enough to pick the right lines to make it through stuff safely. Right. I think you are a phenomenal driver. I think Hussman is a phenomenal driver. I don't feel like I am. And so, I don't know. It's just, I think that there's something to be said about being able to wheel on smaller running gear and be able to work just fine. I think that goes a long way to tell about the driver's attitude and how they work their way through problems and obstacles.
Maybe. Yeah. I forgot who said it, if it was Ozzy or somebody, but Bobcat hurts feelings.
Oh, totally does. Yeah.
It's because it's like, I should not be keeping up with, I was out wheeling. I think it was Ozzy there, but I was out with Jason, the Buns.
No, I think it was Ozzy and the Buns and you.
Ozzy and the Buns. I think
because I think I was in with Ozzy. I think I was in the buggy with Ozzy.
Yeah. And you guys were all three buggies were in front of me.
Yeah.
And I think at some point you guys kept going, well, where's Jimmy? Is he back there? And then like 10 seconds later, I come around the corner.
You're keeping up just fine.
Keeping up with the buggies, which there's something to be said when you're also wheeling a trail that you've wheeled before.
Yeah.
So you understand where the obstacles are, and the trails change, but they don't change that much, so you can get up things. So, I mean, that was nice. But yeah, I mean, when you have the seat time and you can go, I mean, you can just go.
Yeah.
So, but I do like the fact that the Bobcat hurts feelings. It's like, this is a Toyota mini truck on mini truck axles on 37s, doing everything that buggies typically do.
Yep. Yeah.
Minus a few things. Like I haven't been in the box on Windshield 3 in many years. And every time I'm at the box, there's just so many people around. I don't want to get in it because it's just going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
And I want to try to creepy it and crawl it and rock it one way or another and see if it'll catch something and then, work its way up, where I don't want to be like some guy going, just give it the throttle, man. Like, crowd. No, I don't want that. Like
peer pressuring, like I got peer pressured in Moab.
Yeah. So it's like I just don't hit the box right when there's a bunch of people around. But I'd like to try it again. I mean, I hear about how it's just so dug out and that lower rock is impossible to get through. And I look at it and I go, I'm pretty sure I could just drive straight up that. Like, I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
But I haven't been in there in a while, so I don't have that answer. And now everybody listening is like, there's no fucking way. But, but I don't know. I mean, at what point do you need to go bigger? It's a very interesting question. Like, do I need full widths? I don't know. Like I asked Hustle Nuts one time, why are you going to these bigger axles? Because he went up to, what are the spider tracks axles, big old monsters.
Yep.
And the only major thing that I got out of that conversation was he wanted wider, because when he goes to Trail Hero or down to Sand Hollow, the trails down there aren't made, or they're not beneficial. Or beneficial is not even the right word. The trails there are different, and a mini truck axle puts you in a very bad spot.
Yes.
Where wider axles are where you want to be.
Yeah.
And so the line up the obstacle is beneficial for wider axles.
Yeah.
And that's where Jason likes to go wheeling. So, he's building his rig for that type of environment.
Yeah.
Where I think Bobcat's built for the Rubicon and Fordyce beautifully and can putt around and go have fun, and is still minorly challenging on a lot of those obstacles. And if I went into the box in Windshield 3 or even Little Sluice hangs me up sometimes, it's like, this isn't a full width vehicle on 40s. It's not meant to be a full width vehicle on 40s. I want to go have fun. I want to be challenging. If anything, I should go down to 35s. It's like, let's be more challenging.
Do the 31 run more often.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah.
I'll just pull a Slauson and do it in the, is that rig 2-wheel drive?
The Tacoma?
Yeah.
No, it's 4-wheel drive.
Okay.
He might have a 2-wheel drive Tacoma, but that's not the one he takes to Barrett Lake.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the one he takes to Barrett is 4-wheel drive.
Okay. Is it locked rear?
Don't think it has a locker in it. And if it does, it might have like an ARB he put in, but it only has one locker. I don't think it's dual lockers.
Right. So rear locker.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's, there's a level at which, and this is somewhat off topic, but we've discussed this before, where you are overbuilding your rig.
Yep.
And, it's like everybody complains that the Rubicon's too easy. Well, you've built your rig for something harder than the Rubicon.
Yeah.
Because you're on full widths and 40s.
Yep.
So where should your vehicle be? If you made it too hard, maybe you should, or you made it so easy that you don't want to do it anymore. Maybe you should put 31s on it and go do it again and see if it's just as hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Right. And so my question, my next question then is, and you may have already answered it, what is the benefit to going 1 tons then? Like, do people really need 1 tons? Is it, because I definitely catch myself saying, no, everyone should just do 1 tons. But is it really out of necessity?
I think it's out of tire size.
You think it's out of tire size?
Tire size envy.
The tire size envy? Just
like what size tires? Like if you asked anybody, you're like, I'm going to go rock crawling.
Mm-hmm.
What size tires do I need?
42s.
40s and 42s is now the answer, right?
Uh-huh.
And the only way, the safest way to run 40s and 42s is full widths.
Yeah.
Right. If you are running 40s, if you're running 40s on Dana 44s or Toyota mini truck axles, you're most likely asking for something to break.
Yeah.
Unless you know your vehicle really, really well, or you're not heavy on the throttle pedal, right? And you are willing to stop or get winched or use your winch.
Yep.
Then you probably won't break anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's an interesting debate. Plus width, I think, comes down to full widths.
I personally think that width is the biggest reason to go to 1 tons.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I ran 40s on the 4Runner.
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
On the Toyota axles.
Ball off.
I broke a knuckleball off. That was more just bombing and being stupid down a little Forest Service road and hit a pothole really hard.
And let's be honest, that was probably breaking already from that was on 37s.
Yeah, because it was rusted in the brake where we found the crack at.
And it was what, like a week after you put the 40s on?
Was it that soon?
It was pretty soon.
It was pretty soon?
Pretty recent, if I recall. It wasn't like a year in.
Yeah, true.
It was within a year, I believe.
Yeah. But I would argue that if you're talking about being concerned about bigger tire size on axles, typically you're concerned about your axle shafts and your ring gears.
Yeah.
Your ring and pinions. Maybe your knuckles and your turning
steering,
your turning
acrum angle.
Not your Ackerman angle, but your steering angle, I guess.
Rotation.
Whatever that point is. So whether you have kingpins, ball joints, trunnion bearings, whatever it is, I think that there could be some stress there from bigger tires. I think that you can put some stress on wheel bearings.
Absolutely.
From bigger tires, more leverage during rock crawling. There's a lot of stresses put there on wheel bearings. But yeah, and then U-joints. I mean, if you are binding up a U-joint and have a bigger tire that you're having to push this rolling radius through, you can damage U-joints, Burfields, RCVs, which are Burfields. I think that there's some issues there, but I think most people, it seems like they're really concerned about their axle shafts.
Yeah.
And I never had an issue with my axle shafts.
No, me neither.
Yeah, but even when I snapped the knuckleball off, the axle shaft was just fine.
Yeah, right.
Which was pretty impressive, actually.
You did drive a little bit on that axle shaft. Yeah, I think a lot of people are concerned. I think there's a level, and I think it progresses as you work your way up, right? With Toyota mini truck axles, everybody's worried about the differential, the ring and pinion.
The 8-inch ring gears.
Ring gear is the weak point.
I would agree. I think to an extent, I think that's one of your weakest points.
Yeah.
I think the axle shafts are one of the strongest points of a Toyota.
I think, yes, in the ratio of like
all the parts associated.
The Burfield and the axle shaft and the ring and pinion diameter, the ring diameter, the axle shaft is probably the larger, beefier of that setup, right? Because typically we hear the ring and pinion broke. Yeah. And that's telling me that that's the weak link.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times Burfields break, which is the next weak link, and so not very often do axle shafts we hear on mini trucks breaking. Yeah. They do. That happens. They do. But I hear more ring and pinion and Burfields.
Yeah. So the question I want to get to with ring and pinions.
Okay.
Is there an easy way to alleviate the 8-inch ring and pinion issue?
Absolutely.
What is that?
Portals.
That is, yes. Fair. No,
not the answer you're looking for.
That's not the answer I was looking for, but that is a great answer. In my opinion, I think the big issue with the Toyota 8-inch ring and pinion issue breaking is that people are running low pinions in the front.
Okay.
The mini truck low pinion third member. That's what a lot of people are running in the front. I think that if you're running the 8-inch high pinion, I don't think you're going to have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
On that front ring pin, because that's the one that a lot of people break. I think, is that front. Although I hear a lot of people breaking the rear. So
yeah.
But
shock loading. I mean, if you're going to really low gearing or ratios, like a 529, I mean, we did have the guy from Nitro Gear on and said there was no difference in strength in regards to the 411s and the 529s, which I still find really hard to believe.
Yeah. So this here's on that topic. I've heard, and I haven't ever looked into this, surprisingly. I've never researched to confirm it or not.
Okay.
That whenever you're changing ring gear ratios, that the ring itself typically does not change teeth on the ring. It's mainly the pinion, and the pinion head changes in order to accommodate the different gear ratio.
I don't think so.
You don't think that's true? Because the main thing I've heard about the argument behind 529s, or take it to an extreme, the 578s or the
71s.
The 571s are way weaker than 411s.
Sure.
Is because the pinion head gets so small that the pinion head actually becomes your weak point more than the ring, gear, the teeth size themselves.
Okay. So if you double the amount of teeth on the pinion and you don't change the ring gear teeth, you're not grabbing anything different, right? Or you're colliding a tooth. You follow me?
Yeah.
Like they have to change. The ratio has to change equally.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a way to change.
But I understand what you're saying, because if you add more teeth, if you add more teeth on the ring gear, the only way to sort of add more teeth is to cut more grooves in it. And that's shrinking, like maybe not the overall diameter, like max diameter, but the internal diameter is changing because you're having to add more teeth, or the teeth are just getting smaller.
I don't think it's a matter of, because I don't think it's a matter of how many teeth are on the pinion versus ring gear. I think it's a matter of the size and how fast does that pinion turn in order to make one revolution of the ring gear, right? That's how many times does your drive shaft turn for how many times your tire turns. That's how you figure out gear ratio.
Yeah.
So I think that gear ratio is more dependent on this, that it could be more on dependent on the size of your pinion, because if you have a smaller pinion, then that drive shaft is going to spin more times to get one revolution of your tire.
Sure. I understand what you're saying.
And then in that also, in order to make that happen, might come different gear, different teeth meshing. But yeah.
I think you have to change the pinion, the ratio changes, and the amount of teeth change regardless. Right, if you're changing the ratios.
Okay.
Like, I mean, if you have a 411 ring gear and a 529 pinion, they're not going to work together.
100% they're not.
Yeah. So they have, like, the teeth and things have to change. Now, does the pinion size change? To be honest, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it is spinning faster. That's for sure. Because, it roughly, what is it? If you spin the drive shaft 27 times, the tire turns 5
for a 5 ratio,
tire 27s, something like that, right? So compared to 411s, where you spin the thing 4 times and the tires turn 11. So it's definitely spinning. It's spinning almost twice as fast. So maybe there is something there to the speed of your drive shaft colliding with the ring gear. And that's what's causing the breakage.
You know who would probably know the answer to this?
East Coast Gear Supply.
They definitely would. But I'm thinking Reed, our stripper, since he did a lot of work with gears and gear ratios with gear inchworm.
Yeah.
Also, I know D Mill would. Jason OCD Fab would probably know as well. So
yeah. What is the point that you were trying to make with this? Just that the pinion is more the weaker link?
I think the pinion is what becomes the weak link in ring and pinions.
Okay.
When you start going to higher gear ratios.
Sure. Another thing you can do though to avoid having your ring and pinion be the weak link is stay at higher gears and lower your T case or transmission gears.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. I think that'll help elongate the life of quote unquote smaller axles.
Yeah, because you could in regards to the Toyotas, we're known for our T cases. If you did dual T cases, but you left stock gearing in the axle, then you're probably going to be fine. You're just going to be going a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But the lower with the dual lows are going to allow you to creep and crawl.
Yeah.
And then I think your axle shaft would become a weak link.
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting point, right? So, I think that with the big movement towards Super Duty axles and everybody's saying go tons, everyone just needs to go tons. Do you think that that's more based on just pure strength and not having to worry about it anymore? Or do you think that there's more and more people out there that just love horsepower and want to just throttle down through stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a bit of both. To be honest, I think there's people that want horsepower and then aren't having to worry about breaking things because they have tons.
Okay.
Right. But there's also the fact that, maybe there's people out there with 22 REs that just want tons because they don't want to worry about breaking stuff.
Okay.
It's like that person doesn't have the power to break much of anything.
Yeah.
But now they since they have full widths underneath them, they really they're not going to break anything and they don't have to worry about it. They almost can literally, go into any obstacle and put the hammer down and you're probably going to be fine.
Yeah.
Minus rolling the rig, it's like,
true.
You're not going to break an axle.
Yeah.
You'll probably break your T cases or transmissions.
That'd be my guess.
That's your next weak link.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's always something to be said about trying to leave a fuse, whether it's a drive shaft or some, the flanges or whatever it is on what's on the outside of the axle. The unit bearing. I don't know if you can make the unit bearings or something on the U-joints or something on the outside that's easy to repair.
A hub.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it actually a weak link so that if you do break it, it's an easy fix.
Yeah.
And you're not breaking something that's more difficult like an axle shaft
or transmission
or ring and pinion.
Yeah.
You just broke your hub. So you undo the hub or you pull the hub out and you throw a drive slug in there or something. And you can, fix it really easy and get out of there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's many levels about when you should have what type of axle. And it kind of comes down to a lot of driving style, a lot of who you are, where you're at, what type of wheeling you're doing. Like, let's take this example. Let's go to another season. Is it better to have full widths and 40s snow wheeling or mini truck axles and 40s snow wheeling?
Mini truck axles and 40s for snow wheeling for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Man, because of the ground clearance, really.
100%.
And the overall weight, which is one of my arguments for why to stay with 8-inch and lighter weight overall. The lighter weight overall you are in snow wheeling, the less you're going to sink down into snow. And the more ground clearance you have, the further you can go before stuff starts getting hung up underneath you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And on the flip side, though, you can run bigger and bigger tires with some wider axles and bigger axles. So you can get up to 54 Mickey Thompson 54s or whatever, which you'd never throw on a mini truck axle. No. Right. So there's,
I don't know. I did see some guys, I don't know what axles they were on though.
Yeah.
I did see some first gen 4Runners on some 54s 1 year snow wheeling.
Jeez.
And they had the 22 RE turbo in the rig, but I didn't look at what axles they were running.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's drawbacks about everything. And one of my arguments that I've always stated, I've probably said it on the podcast before, is that I have more ground clearance underneath my axle, from the bottom of my pumpkin to the ground. I have more clearance now than with my mini truck axle and 37s than I would if I went to 40s and full widths and maybe even 42s.
Possibly. Do you have those stats here that we did on measuring our vehicles, measuring Kermit, measuring Bobcat?
Not on me.
I don't know where my little cardboard went with Kermit stuff, but I remember looking at it and I'm pretty sure you had quite a bit more ground clearance than I do underneath the diffs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would bring my truck in again, except I don't want more dicks on it.
that is a hazard of bringing a vehicle to the Morphite warehouse.
I need you to take the forklift to my house.
Okay. I'll drive it there tomorrow.
Perfect. See you at 9 p.m.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question. I know a lot of people just say go full widths and 40s and don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But is that really the answer? Do you need it? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of options out there.
I think the main reason why I keep pushing a lot of people towards 1 tons or full widths is just that they're getting so cheap nowadays.
That's true.
The value for what you're getting of them is getting to be a lot better than smaller axles.
Yeah.
Smaller axles are just getting harder to find nowadays. Like Dana 44s, what you're finding a lot of times on Marketplace is Rubicon takeoffs.
Sure.
JK and JL Rubicon takeoffs.
And they're still the same price as full widths.
Yes, they are. There's more because they're just bolt on to JKs and JLs.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, I think the main reason why I keep pushing people to bigger axles nowadays is just that they're getting so cheap.
Yeah.
Because they're everywhere. There's a ton of F-250s out there since 1999. So, and other stuff. And so I don't know. It's you got to look at, if you're not going to be running 40-inch tires, are Super Duty axles where you should be going?
I think 40s are the question point.
Yeah. You think
I think if you're going 42s, you should probably have full widths.
I would, or FJ80 axles.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if you're going 42s, you need full widths. If you're going 40s, you're kind of on the line. Like if you're a light-footed driver and
a lighter vehicle,
you don't have to have full widths.
Okay.
Right. If you're on 37s, you don't need full widths. Actually, you probably shouldn't have full widths.
Yeah, right.
Just because of ground clearance. But you could definitely have a 44, Dana 44, or mini truck axles, or FJ80 axles. And you'd be totally happy and you wouldn't have to worry about it. So I think 40s are a really interesting placement because you could really go either way. And it might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
My only gripe about mini truck axles in 40s is width.
Yeah.
And that's where Dana 44s come in.
Yeah.
You could, Dana 44s get wider. What is the WMS of a mini truck axle?
58.5 inches WMS.
And we did a little bit of looking up here, and a WMS's range because Dana 44s were all over the place. But what we found was it ranges between 60 and 67 inches.
Yeah. So 67 is where full width kind of starts at.
Yeah.
Is typically. So 66 to 67 inches. It's kind of where you're starting to say, okay, I have a full width vehicle.
Right.
And so there's some Dana 44s that are that wide out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then here, I would like to, let's run down really quick some combo or comparisons between Toyota and basic random searching of what we found on mini trucks or on Dana 44s.
Yep.
Mini truck versus Dana 44, because that's kind of where the comparison falls.
Yep.
So mini truck ring and pinion diameter is
8 inch.
8 inch.
Yep.
And Dana 44s range from 8.5 to 8.8. So they're a little bigger, almost a 9 inch can get up there. So 8.5. Now newer Tacomas are right in that same range. Yep. They're in that same spot.
Yep. 8.4 to 8.5. There's an 8 3/4 inch now under the new ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
the rears.
My truck, I think, has the 8 3/4.
Yeah.
And then the new 2024 ones, I think in the TRD off-roads and up, I think have the 9.5s in the rear.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. So we're going with the 8 inches here though.
Yeah.
So WMS was WMS of a mini truck
58.5.
58.5. And like I said, 44s range from 60 to 67. So they're just a little bit wider, right? And you can get them almost full width status, which would be kind of interesting. How about axle shaft diameters? Do you remember that for the mini truck?
Yeah, mini truck is 1.3 inches on the inner shafts.
And spline count?
27.
27 on stock stuff.
On stock stuff.
Yep. From what we found on the Dana 44s is it ranges from more or less 1.18, so almost 1.2 to 1.3 on the JK Rubicon stuff.
Yep. The newer JK and JL Rubicons are 1.3 inch.
Yeah. And 30 spline. So if you get chromoly axle shafts for your mini truck, you're moving up to 30 spline and you're roughly the same size as that. So in summary of just that little chat, Dana 44s have an ever so slightly ring and pinion by getting up to 8.8 and starting at 8.5, going up to an 8.8.
But however, I think that the Dana 44s are they all low pinion, or is there a high pinion 44?
There's a high pinion 44.
There's a high, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have any of those stats if it's any different or not. WMS, they can get much wider, and axle shafts and spline counts are relatively the same if you're mix and matching one way or another, but they're pretty much the same.
Very equivalent axles, actually.
They are very equivalent axles with the exception of the ring gear. I think the ring gear is it's always better.
Yeah.
Right? Hands down. I would much rather have an 8.5 inch ring gear compared to an 8 inch ring gear. And on the flip side, I would rather have a 9 over an 8.5, right? So it's, I think the Dana 44 is a very good, budget build, damn near full width axle.
Yeah. If you can find the 67 WMS 44s, Dana 44s, I think it's a great option to go with, especially, if you're running that on Toyota vehicles, that's just going to make you that much better. You're getting slightly stronger axle. You're getting a much easier knuckle to work on. But you're really getting a lot more width, which is I love the width of the 4Runner. I love how stable I am. Most of that is because I'm 16 inches wider now than I was. But it's also a little bit due to having bigger axles and the lower center of gravity now too. Much more predictable suspension, but I love the width. And that was really, I think, what forced me to go down the road I went with. Was after that Moab trip where I almost rolled on Moab rim, everything just was clicked and I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I wanted to be wider. Which is the main reason. I went back and forth, running the Toyota axles through Rubicon Fordyce the way I had them built. They were running great. I never really had that many issues with them. But I wanted to start doing more stuff in Utah, which means I need to be more stable on off-camber stuff. And that's where I think the Toyota axles are losing out.
Sure. I agree. My solution to that is trying to lower my vehicle. Right. I can't be wide. So I need to lower my center of gravity. And so I feel like I'm almost as low as I can make that vehicle go and still be able to wheel comfortably. Right. Because California maybe has when we show up to Moab in our rock crawlers, we are completely different looking vehicles than anybody else out there, minus the other California people, right? Well, our vehicles are tall, we have big tires, and we have plenty of ground clearance. And everybody else that you look at that's from Colorado or Utah area, they all have very low vehicles, low center of gravity, because they do climbs and off-camber stuff. And in California, it's all about ground clearance and articulation. It's two different types of four-wheel.
Two different worlds.
So my conclusion to this discussion is if you're going to go bigger than 40-inch tires, you should probably have full widths.
Okay.
If you're going to stay around the 40-inch range, I would consider looking at Dana 44s. If you're going to be 37s and below and you're on the Toyota platform, then the Toyota mini truck axles are a fantastic axle, or the FJ80 axles. I'm going to throw the FJ80 axles in with the Dana 44 setup. So let me back up. If you're going 42s or larger tires, full widths. If you're 40s to like 37s, FJ80 axles, or Dana 44s.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going 37s or below, mini truck axles are great. Dana 44s are still a fantastic choice.
Yeah. And let's talk now about full float versus semi float.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. That's another topic. Cause that's really one of the, I think the biggest benefit once you start getting into the FJ80 axles is that rear axle's full float.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the Dana 44 stuff is all still semi float.
Yeah.
There's very few
mini truck axles.
All the mini truck axles are semi float.
Yeah.
And I think that going to full float has a massive strength benefit to being full float versus semi float.
Yes. It also makes breaking an axle shaft repair very easily.
Yes, it does. So anyways, cool stuff. Axle Talk Podcast. Thank you, Tom, for sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah. From MySpace?
Tom from MySpace. Oh my God, I forgot about Tom. That's funny. So yeah, man, good stuff. I think this is a fun topic. I think it's always kind of out there and people are always like, you know, I think there is a lot of talk around Super Duty stuff. And I think Super Duty stuff is awesome, but is it for everybody? I think that's been a discussion that's been needing to happen for a while. I think there's too many people, too many builders out there that are quick to just push everybody into 1-ton stuff and full width stuff.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to what are you looking to do? What tire size do you want to run? What are you using your vehicle for? What's your driving style like? I think that there's a lot that goes into it. And I hope we hashed some of that out. I don't think we hashed all of it out.
Never.
But we can always come back and revisit Axle Talk stuff.
For sure.
But I hope we did some of it. And I hope it's a fun discussion that gets everybody else out there talking about different axle sizes and, you know, when do you need to go up to Super Duty stuff or when is okay staying with 44 and Toyota stuff fine with.
Right.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
And when does the 9-inch come into play?
Yeah. All the time. The wonderful world of 9-inch. Good stuff.
9 inches.
Yep. So that's it for today's episode. If you guys have feedback for us, you guys have other stuff you want to add to the podcast. I know that this budget crawler talk is where this kind of started off at, and we've had a ton of feedback over on snail mail on our Friday segments. So if you guys want to give more feedback about Axle Talk stuff, please do. We love it. It's give us a short phone call, 916-345-4744. If it's more than 3 minutes long, it will cut you off. So keep that in mind. And get a hold of us, emails, Instagram, social media, irate 4x4. There's the Facebook page. There's texting us if you have our numbers. I know some of you out there do. That's all I got, man. Anything else to add to that?
Nope. That's all.
How do you want to wrap up the episode then? What's your words of wisdom today?
I don't know. That's my words of wisdom. Are these my last words? Is
Yes.
that what okay. Drive smart.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Ready, sir.
What kind of cats?
Black cats.
Cats. What kind of cats like to go bowling?
I don't know.
Alley cats.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
They go to the bowling alley. Those are
Yep.
alley cats.
Yep. I believe it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if they're a white cat with a red stripe?
They're why? What are they? What if
What if they were?
if they're a white cat, then they're a bowling cat? They're a
Would
bowling
they be
pin?
a bowling pin?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just don't throw your balls at it.
It's a good rule in general. Don't throw your balls at cats.